Okay, so welcome to a little series that I'm doing to strengthen marriage amidst the culture of pornography that seems to affect all of us. It's affected our families, affected our children, it affects men, women, clergy, it affects everyone. This series is dedicated to marriage in the hopes to protect intimacy and improve our overall experience of marriage and keep us from being afflicted by the pornified culture we live in. Just about everybody that's going to listen to this series has already been affected by pornography. Very few people are talking about it. I don't understand why. Every once in a while we get glimpses of statistics which are shocking. This is $1 billion industry, okay? It's everywhere. And I just want to make sure that this is of use to the married couples out there. So let's start. So I want to start by telling you a story. Oddly enough, it's about moths. So, in 1869, an entomologist by the name of Leopold Trouvelot made the mistake of bringing the gypsy moth from England to Boston in an effort to improve the American silk industry. That was a big mistake. Within years, the moths, deforested tons of forests with their appetite, and attempts were made time and again to get rid of the moths. And for about 100 years, these little buggers remained an uncontrollable pest. Then, with the advancement of science and environmental conservation movement, during the 1970s, scientists hatched a new plot to destroy the moths. Now, biologists knew that the male moths found the females by way of her pheromone. So scientists created massive quantities of a synthetic pheromone and scattered that throughout the devastated forest. Now, the males were overpowered when they experienced the pheromone, the concentrated pheromone, and so they either became confused, did not know where to find a female, or they became desensitized to the lower levels of naturally occurring pheromones produced by the female moth. But either way, the results were the same. The moths failed to reproduce themselves. And bye-bye moths. Now, that same pheromone and that same kind of approach can be seen with pornography. Pornography is a synthetic concentrated pheromone. And obviously it's affected a lot of people's views on sexuality, on sex itself, what intimacy is. Some of us have become completely disinterested by the promises of real intimacy, and we don't even know what that means anymore. It's been lost to our society. People believe that love is sex, and that sex is love, and that intimacy is sex. Now, when we talk about this, during this little video series, I want to take a compassionate approach to pornography. And Matt Fradd, who I'm going to be, I'm taking many of his material for this series, because he's done a lot of great work with this. But Matt Fradd tells a little story, about what would happen if you came home and you found your spouse on the couch eating a little brick of charcoal. Now, if you came home, you'd probably be, a little concerned. Why are you eating that charcoal, Now, in psychiatry, we would call this pica. And pica is our disordered desire to consume inedible objects. And pornography is similar, Pornography use reflects a disordered desire and disconnection. To put our marriages and ourselves at less risk, we need to recognize that the behavior, although it's completely disordered and destructive, seeks an end. So you imagine you come home and you see your spouse on the couch eating a brick of charcoal. The response we would hope is, "Oh, honey, you don't need to be doing this. This isn't good for you." We have to take a look even deeper than just the behavior itself, but what it points toward, and help to reestablish order in our lives, especially our sexual lives. Now, realize that pornography itself is a shadow version of intimacy and connection. And we as human beings are built for connection, and our biology confirms this. Because we're the only sexual animal with an expanded cerebral cortex, which allows us to consciously enhance our feelings of connection through simple gestures, behaviors, activities. And if we fail to connect, we will connect to something. that provides relief, escape, or a synthetic feeling of pleasure. So in India, it's not uncommon to watch people eat feces off of the floor or off of the road in certain parts uh, of, 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 of India. Why? Well, because essentially these individuals, have to, there's no food, there's no way to keep their stomach expanded, and they're starving to death. They're literally starving to death, and they are going to put whatever they can, whatever garbage they can into their body to stay alive a little bit longer. Their diet reflects desperation and hunger. And so, in the same way, when we see pornography, especially in our culture and in our lives or in the people that we know that we care about or in our children's lives, pornography reflects a desperation and a hunger for real intimacy, real connection. Okay? Learn to see that pornography use is a sign that something is missing or that the individual is off balance. You know, and during this series, I plan to outline ways to help both partners in a marriage stay balanced and offer some simple ways to keep that going.